The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody. Hope you are feeling good today. Drop me a little message in the chat that you can hear me okay. All good, all good. Hi from Kentucky. Hi, Eric. France, Florida. Everybody can hear me okay. Awesome, awesome. So has anybody already downloaded the templates and already had a look at them? Yes, yes, no, no, yes, no. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go through them. So obviously these templates are based on supporting businesses for how they would speak to their, communicate with their customers about coronavirus. Obviously it is everything everybody's talking about at the moment. It is the most important thing. And if you are an agency, then this is going to be great for you to share this with them. But mainly we're going to be having obviously a very good Convertri lesson about how you can edit these templates. So don't worry about if you're not specifically going to use them, or you might use them for your own personal business. But we're going to have a really good lesson on how they were created, how you can customize them, and then apply that to other lessons. If you've not been to one of my webinars before, what we do is I'll generally try and answer your questions as I see them pop up, if it's relevant, or if I feel I can quickly answer it. However, if you have some deeper questions that aren't related to what we're doing today, then just save it to the end, and I'll stay here and answer questions until everybody is happy. Okay, everybody good with that? Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I am going to open up all of these templates so we can quickly jump through them and see what's going on with them. So this all comes from one base template, and they've got little differences, but it's all from one base template. Okay, so here is the first base template. This is what started it all. Okay, so this is just a logo that I picked up offline as Tango, and this is coronavirus staff and customer procedures information. So it's going to tell their staff and customers information about how they can still interact with their services. Okay, so we've got opening hours Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. And we've got available services collection and delivery only, if they've got any specific collection and delivery procedures, and then our staff and customer safety procedures. So this is sanitation of all services. This is just basically saying this is what we do to ensure the safety of the clients. Okay, we have another example here for gyms. Now, I'm sure you're aware that gyms are pretty much empty at the moment, or effectively they are closed. They can't open their doors. They are one of the most touched and interactive services of people going through different places and whatever to touch what other people have touched. So it's obvious that gyms would be closed. So we've got the reopening date, which obviously not everybody's going to know the reopening date, and this could be subject to change, but it's nice information to give to the customer. The available services, so at the moment you may be able to still call them, and you may be able to just get a virtual service from this gym. And then there is this information about existing memberships. And I've just put a general idea here about how they could change their existing memberships. So if somebody has already paid for a month, maybe you charge them half as much, a third of much for a digital service where they can log in and view it online like Zoom or go to webinar like this, you know. And what is the virtual services that you may get? Here it is. Here it is. They could also provide health and diet consultation, which would obviously be a different price. So if you've got customers who want to understand more about their diet and what they can do at this time, then that's something that they could also offer. And it's just about having that adaptation of when somebody they're a gym, they can't do nothing else. How can they adapt and still be able to keep the doors open effectively, which is what this webinar was about, you know. So this one is a restaurant one. Obviously, again, all restaurants are closed. However, they can still take delivery services. So we've got, again, reopening dates. You can see that from the previous one. Available services. So this is delivery only at the moment. And then what is your delivery process? The more you can inform a customer about how to work with you, it's going to be better for you. So you've got delivery process, and then you've got delivery and customer safety information. So not only is it about the safety of your customer, it's going to be about the safety of the actual staff member who is going out to their house as well. You don't want somebody at the moment walking up to you and trying to shake hands with you and saying thanks for my pizza, you know. If they have diet or allergies that they need for their delivery, they can make them requests. What is the staff doing in the back of the house when they're cooking these meals? How are they currently dealing with that? Are they being checked? All of this information, and this is information that I've put up as myself. I'm obviously not a doctor, but this is the sort of stuff that I understand. Now, if you're going to do this for a client, you can say, this is the information as I understand it, but obviously I'm not a doctor and I'm not a lawyer. So if you're going to use the information off these templates, then make sure that your customer understands that about what their procedures would be. Okay. So that at its basic level is the templates. Is there any questions at the moment that you would like to ask about them? Maybe why I designed it in a certain way or anything like that. Let's take a sip of water. Okay, no? Okay, good. Okay then, let us get into how these were designed into Convertri. And you can sort of get an understanding. Now, the best way that I can explain to you how these were designed is to use this feature here, which is display and then element outlines. Okay, so this gives you an idea of what is going on. Okay, so you can see here, and these templates are 100% mobile ready. Okay, so if I go into mobile right here, let me just turn this off. So you can see how this is laid out. All of this is mobile ready without a single touch. This is not, this hasn't been messed with mobile. If I grab this right here, I'm going to grab this, throw it over here. I'm going to hit the remobilize button. Okay, so I'm going to remobilize it, and it still looks exactly the same. I've made no changes on the mobile version at all. Okay, and this is, in my opinion, the best way to create a design. I have lost my screen for a second for some reason. Can anybody still see? Yep, yep. For some reason I can't see. I've got a black screen on my side. Just bear with me a second, guys. For some reason mine's gone completely black on my side. I cannot see nothing. The screen is still on, but it is black. Yeah, I will go through that. Just bear with me. For some reason, I can't see anything at the moment. Display driver has stopped working. Lovely. Sorry about this, guys. I'm not sure what is going on with it. Trying to figure it out. Just give me a few moments. Yeah, there is a lot of people using Zoom at the moment. Okay, I think we are back. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Can everybody see the screen? Whoa! We are back. I am sorry about that, everybody. I have no idea why that happened. So I can only apologize. Okay. So we're on the mobile page, so you can see that everything is mobile ready without touching it. If I move it, we can remobilize and everything stays exactly as it was without having to touch anything on mobile. Okay, and this is my personal recommendation for if you're going to design a page, try to design it so that you don't have to mess with mobile. Okay, and the best way that I can show you to do that is go to display, go to element outlines, and I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, so generally what you need to think about is containing elements so that they don't interact with other elements where you don't want them to be. And a great example of that is this section here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this box here, I'm going to bring it to the front, and then I'm going to delete it. Okay, and then go back into mobile, and you'll see the picture comes up here and the opening hours are before it. Now, if that's your desired effect, then that's fine. You know, obviously that's fine. But if you want to have it so that them opening hours all come up below it, then you're going to want to have this box. Undo one more. Undo. Okay. So you're going to want to have this box that's being now a pain. I'm going to send it backwards. Send backward. Send to the back, and then send this to the back. Because I moved it to the front, it just threw out that design a little bit. So if you want this to be underneath here, then you're going to want to have that box that makes sure that this does not interact with this section here. Okay, so this now sits directly under this because it reads from the left and then it reads to the lowest point. So because this is the lowest point, it will always be below this element. Okay, if this was above here, then it would put this box first and it would put this image below it. Okay. Yeah, you always use a panel effectively, whether you need the panel or not. You need it for spacing. It controls the spacing on your mobile. So you see here how that panel is. If I didn't have that panel, it would be sitting here. Now, that may not be the worst thing in the world, but doesn't it look so much cleaner that it's got a nice space here? Okay, it's got nice spacing around the text. If you imagine, I'll put that box back. If you imagine that this box wasn't around it, what it would be doing is it would be sitting right here. So this "or" would be sitting right on the edge of the person's viewing device, which wouldn't give it that clean look. Where we've got this clean space in here. Now, this image doesn't have a box around it. Okay, so I'll give you that example of what I'm showing you there by putting a box around it. Okay. Now the box is just as a box. So once you don't have a background on it, you can put it as transparent. Okay, so that is just the box. Now you can see here now that this spacing has changed. There's quite a decent amount of spacing around this image that just keeps a cleaner flow. Okay, in the original design, I didn't touch that with that box. Let me just get that box back out the way. So you can see the spacing is different, and it's going to be up to you for personal preference, but especially when it comes to text, I really like to have this spacing here that is created by having that additional box around it, that additional panel around it that gives it that sort of spacing in mobile. Okay. Yes, this is being recorded. There is not a padding tool. No. No, the vertical blue lines are just a guide for yourself of effectively web practices. One second. The lines themselves are just a guideline, and effectively this guideline was when Convertri was initially made, which was 3 years ago. That 960 was the guideline. So you can easily move and change these guidelines. It's in this display here. You can go to a 1280, which is a pretty common guideline. I think 1040 or 1100 is a common guideline. I could probably have a look at it. I generally, because these are specific templates for the Convertri user base, I kept within the 960 because it's going to be easier for people to understand. But it doesn't matter if this is over here or if this is off the screen like this. It would still show in mobile in exactly the same position. Yes, this is Brave browser. Brave is effectively Chrome. However, it is just, there is a few differences that just make it more unique. It stops ads coming up. There is you can have it to set ads that you actually get paid for. It makes websites a little bit faster. This is Brave browser instead of Chrome. But at its base level, it is still Chrome, and that's why Convertri works with it. That was just a question I had in the chat. So yeah, as we talk about panels, that gives you the idea of what's going on there. So you can see here, this section here, this heading here, this is the panel containing it. And what I've also got is I've got a panel above it and I've got a panel below it. And the reason that is because I want this level of spacing. I don't want a little bit of spacing. This is the space here. So you can see that that's the main box. This is the little bit of space you would get here and here above this logo. Okay, so if I went into here and I got rid of this one and I got rid of this one, and then I go back into it, you'll see that this has materially changed that now. Okay, you can see that this is pretty close to that logo. If I just undo that, undo once more. So I've added a significant amount of spacing because I want this to be a lot better user experience. Okay, I want this to be a lot cleaner. I don't want things sitting directly on top of each other where it makes it difficult to read. Okay, and the way that I've done that is I've got my main panel. So there's my main panel, and there's the text, the headline within it. And then I've got just a little box just above and below. They're exactly the same height. If you make them different heights, then it will have a different height in the mobile view. So you'll have more at the top or bottom, however it would look. Okay, and you'll notice the same on the Contact Us. I've got the main panel here, but I've got little spaces above and below. Now I could have put a box directly around this Contact Us. It would give it a little bit of space, but I wanted a lot of space because you'll already notice that effectively this Contact Us has already got one box around it. That's this one. Yeah, so this box is already around it. This is already giving it this little bit of space here. So you can see on the left side of that arrow, you can see there is a little bit of space that it is giving it. Okay, but I wanted more space because it's just giving it that cleaner look. I didn't want that Contact Us being interrupted. Now it may look that there is quite a lot of space because we're viewing it on a computer, but if you view this on your phone, it looks really easy to use. It looks really clear, and you can understand that that is the Contact Us button, this is the logo, this is the text. It's very easy to use. On the Contact Us, there is two additional panels. Okay, so if you want more spacing around your elements, you can just drop a little panel above and below it. Okay, so the examples of that are on this contact us. There is more spacing. There is an extra panel here. This is one panel, and this is two panel. Okay, so there's one above it, there's one below it. On this headline, I wanted more space. I've got the main panel that controls it, but I've also got these two extra panels above and below it. On the opening hours here, even though I've got a panel all the way around it, if I didn't have this panel above it, then this image right here would be really next to these opening hours. Yeah, but you can see, because this panel is here, it's giving me this little bit of space. If I remove this completely and just hit remobilize, you can see now the space is a lot less. Now you would probably say that's still okay. If you view it in mobile, it becomes a little bit cluttered because we're viewing it on a big screen. So even that is bigger than I would view it on my computer. I mean on my phone. If I view that on my phone is a lot smaller device. The space between them, the opening hours and the image, is a lot smaller, which makes it harder for people to read. Okay, so that space, by having that nice clean space there, it is going to be a lot better. Okay, just had a few little questions, so I'll have a look at them just quickly. No, a panel does not affect the load speed. They are effectively 0.001 of a kilobyte of a design, so they won't affect load speed. If you put maybe 500 extra panels on a page, it might increase it by 0.1 of a second, and that's 500 of them. You may need to even put 1,000 on a page to make it really have a problem, because they've got nothing in them. They are just effectively, they're just there as spacers. Okay. Clemens, I'm not sure what you mean. From which menu can I insert a panel? If you want to elaborate on that, let me know, and then I can come back to you. We have lost the one that was on top of the contact us. I'll put that back. Okay. What I do recommend, if you don't want to use the blue lines where they are, at least expand your blue lines to where you do want to work with them. So if you want everything to be 1200 or 1800, whatever you want it to be, then that's your personal decision, and just try and make sure that you actually use them for where you want it to be, because then you can have it. If you look at my design, if I go back to the 960, 1960. So if you look at my design, the image ends there, the text box ends there, this image ends there, the bullet points end there, and when you view this as a page, if users scrolling down, their eyes are focused on where these lines are, even though you can't technically see them, that there is a line within this design, that it all falls along. It keeps the user's eyes aligned with where the content will be, so they can see that this image right here and then these line up, so that keeps the focus correctly. Okay, so no matter what you do, whether you go for bigger than 960, or you wouldn't go less, there's no reason to go less, but use your lines to make sure that wherever you have them, you put the end of your element. So if you've got text, it goes up to there. If you've got an image, it goes up to that side. Okay. So we've got one contained element here. And redo. We've got that one contained element here. We've got a few little boxes here, and little boxes here for spacing, but we haven't got any others anywhere else. Okay. we have got these contained within here, and this is a little different. This is where I'll show you that this one is different than the last one. So this is designed with an image. Okay, so this is designed with an image specifically separate, and what this image does is, as you can see, it's set not to show on mobile. If it was set to show on mobile, what it would actually do is it would put the bullet point within the middle. In fact, I can just show you. I'll put 2 on so we can see it clearly. Remobilize. Okay, so you can see this, how it's come up in the middle. Okay, there isn't no control over this. Okay, now to me, it's not the worst design in the world. If this was a check mark, it might be okay to have this in your mobile design. But if I was designing this with these bullet points, then it means I need to come into the mobile editor and I need to move it like that. Okay, which then means whenever you need to make changes in your mobile in future, then you're going to have to make them changes again. Obviously, this isn't quite right. But do you understand what I'm saying? If you make changes to mobile, you've obviously got to come back and change things, because it won't do it automatically anymore. Once you've made a change once in mobile, then you can't, it won't give you any automatic changes in future. Okay, so this is why you want to try and be 100% mobile ready without having to make these changes. Like I've had to make that change. That means if I add new elements in, let's say that for argument's sake, I want to drag this down. I want to drag this down like this, and I want to put a button there. So this could be the call to action, whatever. So I've added this element in, okay, but because I've already messed with mobile and I've done this, every time I add a new element, it's going to go to the bottom of the page. So every time I want to do something, either I've got a choice now. I've got a choice. I can hit this magical remobilize button, which is going to do all my hard work here and remove it, or I can go along and if I had a lot more than a submit button, I'd have to work it in and do a lot of work, you know, to try and get this in to this section right here. If I wanted it to be in this middle section, I would have to move stuff around, and if there was extra text, not just a button, it would be a lot of work. So we want to be 100% mobile ready. Okay, just looking at questions. There is no tablet view. It is being considered. It's on the feature upvote, so there is no tablet view at the moment. If you want to review something in tablet view, you can do it within Chrome, within Brave, whatever. Obviously, you're going to be using Chrome. Go into Inspect, and then just click this little toggle device here, and then you can pick. So you can pick an iPad right there and see how it looks. If I put this back up to like 100%, so this is how it would look in an iPad. Okay. Obviously, I can't scroll down because it is not letting me. That's a basic reason. There we go. Okay. So if I was scroll down first, I would be able to view that. I think because I changed it to 100%. Yeah, when I changed it to 100%, that changed the view of it. So you have to leave it as it comes. I can then put as an iPad Pro. So that would be how it looks as an iPad Pro. Basically, that is showing me that it is effectively the desktop view, which is, if you effectively, what I would say, if your customer is saying to you, why doesn't it look good in tablet? It may be that you want to stay within the 960 pixels. I'm just bringing the design back to where it was, so just give me a second. So you can see that because this design is within the 960 pixels, when you view it in tablet view, it still looks correct. Yep, so that's iPad Pro, it still looks correct. However, if I ignored the Convertri's 960 pixels, so let's just put that back. If I ignore this, and I throw this over here, so I throw it over, let's say there, and then I'm going to save and publish this. Okay, let's go back to this. So you see what's happened now? This is throwing the whole page out, and that might be in iPad. It may be that it'll either cut this image off half of this image and just show you this, or it'll have a scroll bar, effectively a scroll bar action where you need to move over from one side to the other so that you can view it, you know. Does that help, Peter? Yeah, I would say if you want to be 100% safe, tablet and everything, then just stay with the 960 width that you are given. Stay within the blue lines, because as we've just seen, if you try to go without them, then you're going to cause problems with tablets specifically, until such a point that that you can obviously re-review that on a tablet view. Once they add in tablet view here, then it may be completely different. But until such a time, then it would be recommended to do the 960. Chandra, yeah, sorry, just answering questions, which I think was important. So going back to this, at its core, to make sure things are within the mobile view, 100% mobile friendly, you want to use panels more than just putting things on a page. And I'll give you this example. I'm going to effectively completely break this page so it will look completely different. Okay, so I'm going to bring this to the front. So if I didn't do what I've done, this is what it would look like. So all these excess panels, if I didn't add them, this is what we're going to get. Bring to the front. Where are you? There we go. So if you looked at it, you could easily say everything I'm deleting now is an unnecessary panel. But it's necessary for the fact that if you want to go 100% mobile, then you need these panels to keep things in line effectively. Okay, so now if we go over to mobile, we're going to remobilize it. I'll get rid of the, this was off anyway, so I'm going to get rid of that. No. Okay, now let's look at the mobile. So we'll turn off the lines. We have such a small amount of space between the logo and the title, and then we've got the opening hours popping up above this image. If you wanted it that way, fine, you could have, but the problem we've got opening hours up here and then the actual hours below it. We've got very little space above and below. This is text already in a text box, so this is going to have natural spacing. This is not too bad. The bullet points aren't too bad. The image, I think I actually had it where it was above it, not below. And then you've got no spacing there. So you can see there's quite a considerable change happened to this one. If I can actually go back. So I can show you what it looked like before. Okay, so this is what it looked like before. We can see at the top here. This is completely different. This was directly above this opening hours with some good spacing there. That shouldn't have been saved like that. Let me remobilize that. Get rid of them. Just trying to get back to the design that you guys had. Okay. Okay. So you can see there's a noticeable difference between scrolling this page and then scrolling this one without all the panels. Yeah. These templates are not part of the Pro or non-Pro. These are just templates that you can directly get from the webinar link, the registration page that you signed up for. They're on that link, so you should have received the registration link in one of your Convertri emails. If you go on there, just below where it asks you to enter your email, it'll say something like "Get these templates." Okay. I'll close that one because I don't want the broken one. Yeah, the templates are Convertri. I don't have the link, I don't think. Webinar registration, something like that. If anybody has the link, please share it with me so I can give you the correct link. Oh, give me 1 second. Actually, I'll have to take this off screen. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so it's convertri.com customer webinar -thanks, and then just click here to import. Don't know why it's laid out like this. So you can just then click import this funnel. Okay, so you click import this funnel. So this is in the funnel templates library, which I don't know where that is. I guess that's just when you try to create a new page, or you can just create the funnel directly. Right there, CV19 templates, and then just create that funnel, and then they should be all within that funnel. Okay. So that is now one of the funnels. Hopefully that helps everybody who was missing them. And I guess where it says that these have also been added to your section, it should be in here somewhere. Maybe. C19? Nope. It said something about template library. It's not something that Convertri have offered on a webinar before, as far as I'm aware, so it's not something that I've personally dealt with. Yeah, I don't know where it is there. So the best way that I can recommend for you to do it is go through the process that I just went through of physically adding them to a funnel. And then once you've got them into a funnel, if you want to move them into another funnel, just click the three dots, click more, and then click clone. Not clone, sorry. Move to. Click move to, and then you can move them to an existing funnel. Okay. Yes, I will put the link in the chat box for you. There you go. If you go to that page that's just been put in the chat, you can then click on there, or I can just no, I can't. I don't have that same access. Oh yeah, I do. Sorry, 1 second. You should get it from the Convertri one, but if you want this direct share code, then here you go. Here is the funnel code as well. But I recommend you getting it from the actual thank you page if you could. Let us go back to it. Okay, is everybody good with that? Or if you have any more questions about it, then I will go a bit deeper into it. Or if you post in the Convertri group, or contact support@convertri.com, they'll make sure that it gets set up in your account, or just put a message in the group and I'll try to help you as much as I can to get this set up for you. I don't want to take everybody else's time at the moment. Okay. But if you stay to the end, I can also try help you that way. Okay. So I'm just going to go into this one. Is it this one? No. I may not have done it on this. No, I didn't do it on these. What I was going to show you, and this is a video that I'm actually going to put in the group in a few days. I built this template. If you know where this template come from, this come from Frank Kern. And this is a template that he uses. And this uses the actual bullet point feature right here. So when you create a text, you can click on bullets right here. You can then click on change the marker type to an image, and then you can select an image. And the great thing about when you do this, opposed to just putting an image, the great thing about this is when you go into mobile, it actually shows it correctly on mobile. Okay. So you can see how this is correct in mobile, whereas if I tried to line these ones up, I can't do it without physically touching mobile because it would go in the center. So I would have to manually mobilize this, whereas this is another page that is 100% mobile. Okay. The checkmark image is one that I've downloaded myself. So you can just search for checkmark icon, free checkmark icons, and you'll find that there is quite a few different sites that can provide you with a PNG checkmark icon. Okay, so to do that, you go onto here, you click on the bullet points, so that'll give it the bullet point. You then click down, then click image, and then you can select the image right there, wherever you upload it. You know, I think mine's on here on the icons folder. Yeah, there it is. It's on here. Okay, but like I say, that's one that I've downloaded myself. So you would have to just download that. Which test base, Spencer? This one or yeah? Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. I will allow it. I will allow it. It's not the point of this webinar, but it would be rude not to give it you. Okay. So for everybody, that's the share link for the page that I was just showing you, which is a book style sales page, but you can literally sell anything on this. It has all been done with the same practices that we were discussing. And you can obviously just duplicate these text sections to make this longer as you want. It doesn't have to be a book. You can sell a video. So this is a really good page for you to use. But yeah, this wasn't the plan of what I was supposed to be sharing, but it just helped me to explain the bullet points to you. Okay. So I'm going to go into how we would sort of amend this. Does anybody have any more questions on specifically what you would do to make it 100% mobile friendly from the start? You would use that code. Sorry, you use that code. You click new page, and then click new page from scratch. So you would give it a name, book page. Oh, sorry, don't even bother clicking new page. Just click import page, enter the shared code right here, and then just give it a name. My bad. Yeah, just click import page right here on your funnel. Okay. And then it'll import it for you. Delete this. The shared code for that page is in the chat, Christina. I'm going to send it to you directly. You should have it, I think. No problem, Chandra. Very welcome. Okay, sorry. Yes. Does anybody have any specific questions on the mobile side of things before we go into sort of customizing this for different areas? No more questions on mobile? Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to grab some water. Okay. Right, we're going to just go into customization of these templates so that you could use them elsewhere. So we'll go into the gym version. If that's the first share code, Pete, the first share code, the one that I sent with a 30 at the start of it, that's the funnel. That's the funnel with these 3 coronavirus templates. The second one that I shared with C6 at the start is the template that I just shared with you. Joanne, moving a block, are you talking like if I grab this wave logo right here, if I grab that section and then try to move it? Is that a problem you're having? I'm gonna just carry on while I wait for a response from Joanne for that. Like this, Joanne. So this one's inside of this other box, and it moves pretty freely. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. If you could record it, then send it in the Facebook group. I can have a look for you. If you can't, then you may need to just contact support@convertri.com for them to have a look at it. It may be a deeper problem. Okay. But yeah, let's get into customizing this template. So obviously these templates are pretty clean and simple to work with for what the content is. But if you started making changes, for example, that where you got rid of that, and you've obviously just got rid of one line, you've made it shorter, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change this positioning here. And you see how that pink line has just come up? Let me just take it down. So that pink line that has just come up exactly there, and you can see that it effectively runs straight the way through that. Now that's telling me that it is in the middle of them words. So I can now see that I've moved that to the correct position. So it's just going to help my design look better if I do that. Now, if I want to maintain this spacing, this is going to change this. However, I can just hold down the shift key and just bring it up until a point where I get that little 10 pixel bracket right there. Okay. And then I'll probably just take this down a little bit because I know that that spacing has changed. Okay. Obviously this bit has changed here. There we go. Yep. Okay. So if you're going to customize a template like this, you've just got to remember the sort of best practices, because you don't want to, what you don't want to do is change this to a one-liner like that, and then just have this awkward sort of layout. But you also don't want to just try and throw it in yourself without knowing that if you use it so that it gives you that pink line. What we've got here is we've got one line going vertical and we've got one line going horizontal. The horizontal one is telling me that this image, this bullet point, is directly in the middle of that sentence. The vertical one is telling me that I am also vertically in line with the other bullet points. So if you're editing a design like this, then you want to just look at it and make them sort of changes. You may also want to go, okay, well, this image is now quite a bit longer than it should be. So you can then just shrink that down. And then if I hold this button right here, and then I hold down the shift key, it's going to bring everything below it up. Okay, so I can customize this design freely by just looking at them sort of elements. Okay. the spacer bars effectively are just a panel. So one of my biggest sort of hacks when I do a design is I do vertical positioning and I do horizontal positioning, and I do that by having a full length image like this. So this is full width. I have it as a height of 50. Now, what I would do is if I've got a client and I want them to have a really high quality design, I want to have effectively what you would call in different softwares padding. So I want to have a 50 pixel padding from the bottom of this picture until this button right here. So I'll hold down shift and I'll drag it until that point, and then I'll put it below this, okay, and then I'll select this one, and you can see that it's overlapping it slightly. So if I take it down, then what I've got is I've got exactly 50 pixels below this one. I've got 50 pixels above this one, okay? And then the same sort of case here. Now, because I've resized that image, because we changed some things here, if I want my 50 pixels here, I can scroll that up, okay? If I want my 50 pixels here, I can again scroll that up. Now, all of my design is getting to a point where it has a uniform nature of 50 pixels above each element, okay? So it gives it that uniform sort of padding of there is 50 pixels below and above, 50 pixels below and above. When I move the spacing element, this one, when I move this one, always start at the bottom, okay? Because if you start at the top, you're going to move this one, and then you're going to have to remove other parts. So if you're going to do this, start at the bottom, and whenever you need to make space, so if I need more space, I would hold down shift and I would drag it down. If I wanted to bring it up, I would hold down shift and bring it up, and it's bringing everything below it either up or down. If you do it from a top down, you're going to end up where you've made a 50 pixel space, but then it's been changed, okay? So always start from the bottom. To make something like this, to effectively give yourself the idea of what you're doing, of padding, what we do is we just grab a normal panel, we change the positioning of the height to 50 pixels, and then I use a full width. Now, what I also like to do is I like to give this a background. I'll open the color picker. I'll go with something dark, but I'll give it about a 60% or a 50% opacity level, okay? What this means is if I want to drag this down, and this is why you don't do it the other way around, but if I want to drag this down, if it'll stop being a pain, if I drag that down right now, I can see, because of the opacity, I can see that this has gone too far. I've lost the spacing that I was trying to create because the opacity is showing it below me, okay? So that's just a little helpful trick of using the opacity as well. Now, obviously, my designs in this case, let me just remove that. So my designs in this case had a lot of spacing already planned within them, which meant a lot of extra elements. So you see this extra element. Now this extra element is on top of this one. So what I always recommend you do, so you can understand whether something like this has changed, is you go into the display element outlines and then you just refix if there's any of these little boxes like this. Okay, so that box was obviously too big because I changed it to a one line. you can see that we had this nice spacer box, which you needed to move up. We can see that we had some spacing already above this and below it. And this was the actual element here. So there was already spacing built in. So if you're going to change that, you need to obviously reaccommodate that spacing. Okay. I effectively left these there because it gave me the correct mobile spacing. Okay, within my mobile version. So I already had padding, but I was explaining to you how you can work out what that padding is. Okay. No, there was no cloning of that spacing bar. I'm going to exit out of this because kind of broke my own design because it already had this sort of stuff in it. No, it's just one panel from the bottom. One panel from the bottom. I believe I probably did a 30 pixel space within this design. No. I think probably 50 in buttons, or was it like there? Might be a bit less. 40 by the looks of it. 40. Yeah, 40. So in this design, I decided to use a 40 pixel space. So you can see that this is just not theory. This is what I actually used in this design. I used this spacer to space these elements out and give them 40 pixels. Okay. If I used a bigger space, like this has got a bigger space, this has got a bigger space, it was because I wanted that to be more of a popping out headline. And the reason and the way that that's set up is it's actually got this bar there. So this bar is 48 height, and then the one below it is 48 height. So that just gives it that spacing. I think I probably saved over my own design here when I was editing it before, because that should be there. So that was already incorporated into this layout, like this one. This one's still correct. So there's 48 and 48. And it's just maintaining that uniform. If I did it at 50, then I would have used 50 here, I would have used 50 here, and I would have used 50 here and 50 here. But because I used 48, I've made sure that I use 48 here, 48 here, so that the headlines look exactly the same. Okay. Yeah, if you were trying to do this, let me just put the element outline on. If you were doing this, you would copy and paste these. So if you're doing this headline and you want this headline to be 48 pixels, 58 pixels, whatever, you would create this headline. You would then put this one below it. You would put that one above it, and then you would put a panel behind it holding all three of them in. Okay, so you can copy and paste them, and then when you want to also have the same spacing on this headline, you would copy and paste that one as well. Okay, John? And then from the, so they're my horizontal ones. I also do a vertical version. So your vertical version, you're going to give it a height of like 10,000. And this time the width is going to be the controller. So if you want it as 50 pixels as width, you're going to do that. And then you're going to set this X, not the X, sorry, not the X. You're going to set the Y as 0. And the Y is your horizontal positioning. Okay. So, so you can see that this design follows that as well. you can see that I have got a vertical line in this design. This design had this plan in it, so that there was a vertical line exactly. So both of these, this section on this side, this section on this side, they both line up. Okay, this would normally be, if you had another editor and the other editor, you would have 60% on one side, 40% on the other. Okay, or something along these lines. This just ensures that this side is exactly the same as that side. This side is exactly the same as that side. However, we've flipped the course. We've got text on this side, text on that side. It's a standard design which you'll see everywhere else, but I use that vertical alignment to maintain good spacing between them. I mean, it doesn't necessarily affect. It doesn't affect the button. Obviously, this button is centered, which you just center it via clicking this button here, the two arrows. There isn't no direct effect. This is just my personal design concepts that I've taken from how I would normally develop a page, how I would design a page so that it still looks uniform and correct. Because of the fluidity that you get within Convertri, a lot of people will lose this style and this sort of spacing that you would naturally get if you used a different editor. So if you use vertical spacing, you can understand that your boxes are still lined up nicely. If you use horizontal spacing, you can ensure that you've still got padding on the correct, as such, the correct height between elements. So whenever you're, 1 second. No, Ross, the vertical one is just effectively as a ruler to understand where my boxes line up. It may be that you have effectively what this is. This design in itself is not 50-50. Because if this was 50-50, so we've got 960. So if we had a panel and this panel was 480, okay, so this would be a 50-50 design. You'd have one side that is that size, and you would have one side that is that size. Okay, so that's an exact representation of a 50-50 design. You have exactly the same amount of space on one side as you do on the other. So if I restricted this image to be within this side and I restricted this text, it would be a lot effectively easier to make sure that my lines line up. But because I wanted a wider design, I used it this way. Now, obviously, you can do the maths as well, so that if you want to have 600 on one side and 360 on another, which is probably close to what this is. No, it's a little bit smaller than that. You would just have that, and then when you want to reverse it, you would clone that side. Ooh, clone that side. Put that down there. If I change the colors in a second, you'll see this. Okay, so that's just giving you the even distribution between your elements. Okay, just so that if you have a multiple section like this, you are maintaining your spacing correctly. So if you're having it like this, you want to have both sections that they are effectively the same. I did it with the vertical in this case, but you can also use boxes in this sort of manner to do that as well. And that was, let me leave this. Let me try and find it for you. This was a previous webinar that we did. If I can find it. No. Might be in there. This one. So this was a previous webinar that we did, where everything is boxed up in that sort of style. So this is what we've done here. Is if we want three sections like this, then what we've done is obviously we've taken the 960 and we've divided it by 3. So each of these boxes is 320 pixels. Okay, so we've got a testimonial section of 3 boxes like that. Okay, and then where we've got this template has been messed with a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot. So this would actually be half of it again, so it would be 480. So you can use this style. This has definitely been messed with. You can use this sort of boxing style. I don't know where the original template is. I know we did it on a previous webinar that goes through that sort of boxing. Was it on here? Yeah. No. This one. This one. Yeah. So this is basically a single layer, a double layer, and then 3 layers, and then 4 layers. Okay. And it shows you a lot clearer because we've got these different colors. Obviously, this doesn't have to be designed this way. It's just to show you how these sections are broken up. Okay. So you've got one wide section here, and I'll put the element outlines on. So you've got a main container element, which is got the background image on, and then you've got the text, then you've got the button. These 2 sections here are 480 each, okay? And then when we've got 3 sections, it's just 960 divided by 3, you know? So you would just make one of these. If this is your testimonial box or whatever, you make one, and then you just hit the clone button, and then just put it next to it, and then hit the clone button. All you've got to do, if you're going to have a section that isn't wider on one side than it is on the other, it is just divide by this 960 width. Okay, so we've got 4 sections in this one that are all 240, 240, 240. 4 of them add up, and it's 960. Okay. This is just a separate section. So in this design, this was before I started using more spacers. I'll show you this in mobile. So like you may want, where would this use a spacer that would be better for it? Probably here. But if you removed all of the different grays and stuff, it may not be a problem. So this one is pretty good without spacers. You may want a spacer below this button, but this should give you some sort of idea. If you want this link, let me know, because what you can do with this is you can have this template, and then anytime you want a 3-way section, you can just grab this, hit clone element to another page, and then you can have a 3-section for another page. You can have this as a clone element to another page, and then you've got a 4-section. All you need to do is grab the panel and then just make it as big as you need it. Okay. Same with this. Make it as big, as small as you need it. Okay. Okay, let me get the link for you. Okay, so that's the link for that template. Like I say, it's a good template that gives you easy, even spacing on each side. So if you want 2 sections that are exactly the same size next to each other, then this is a really good template for that. Just grab that and just clone away and put it into your other templates, and then just edit it. You'll notice that it's also got good spacing around the elements on the outside as well. It's got, I think, a 20 pixels spacing all the way around it, something like that, which was all built into it as well. This is a 10 pixel here from below the image to the text, and then there is a 20 pixel border. And the way that that is done is just simply removing 20 pixels from these inner elements. So you can see this is 320. So to make one that isn't that has 20 pixels on this side, 20 pixels off this side, all we've got to do is remove 40 pixels. Okay, so when we create an element that is 40 pixels short, it's going to have 20 pixels here, it's going to have 20 pixels there, and all we do is just drag it until it shows that it's centered in the box. Okay. Obviously, because this box is here, it's not showing me the ruler, the guide. But you can also work it out by seeing in that top corner that it says X is 20. Because you're going to duplicate this, you can just do that, or you can come in here and just put X is 20. That'll ensure that it is 20 pixels from the 0, and the 0 is this line on the 960. Okay, just to give you sort of some concept of how this had 20 pixels around each element. And the same here, there's 20 pixels on the outside of this, 20 pixels at the top, 20 pixels at the bottom. Okay. If you change a design in mobile, you can't specifically change mobile other than moving elements around. If you hit delete, it will remove it from the desktop version. Okay, so you're best to work within the desktop version, and then if you really need to, come into the mobile version. But if you follow the practices from how we've gone through this webinar, you should be able to get a mobile version within 100%. The limitation where you might end up with a mobile version that's 95% or something like that is if you want the bullet points as per this example, which I'll just load up. So right here, it's got these bullet points up showing there, and that's because I had to position them for remobilization. Okay, just bear with me 1 second, guys, and then I'll be back. If you have any questions at this point, this is going to be the question time. I think we're basically done on the training. If you feel I've missed anything, let me know. If not, I'll just go into any and all questions now. So pop some questions in the chat. The last template that was shared, which is the F20 code, is the layout template with the 4 different sizes. The different sizes of panels, and how you would import it. You would go into one of your funnels, click import page, enter the shared code, and this is effectively a layout template. Click on import, and then it's going to import it, and there is the layout template. So this is the one that has just been sent through. It is the share code F2046. Okay, and this is just a really good template to easily get 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections, even a footer really, and obviously 1 section at the top. Okay. Awesome, Spencer. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Paul, yes, it will be. There is a recording, and it will be, I'd expect, possibly Monday. Possibly Monday. I don't have control over it, of when it gets put up, but I'd say possibly Monday. There is a recording, so unless it goes completely wrong, then there will be a recording. Jeffrey, let me understand what you're trying to ask, and I think the answer is going to be no, because it doesn't mobilize that way, which is kind of frustrating. You're asking if you have a 4 section like this, you would want to show the Oprah Winfrey and the Forbes one directly above the Entrepreneur and the Inc. 500 one, correct? Paul, there is the link. There is the share code for you. Yeah, and I think I will be saying that you can't do that. The mobile doesn't really work that way. Well, let me see. I've seen it at one point, but so if we had these sections like this, the way that I would effectively plan to do it is I need a bit of space. So the effective way that I would think if it should do would be like putting a panel around the 2 element outlines. Okay, clone that. Okay, so technically that should be what you hope it does, but it still just throws them like this. The reason is the sizing, I believe. I think the only way it works is if you have got it smaller than the actual sizing. So let me just get rid of this and get rid of, oh, wrong one. and it needs to be off the top of my head about, I think it's 320. It's either 320 or 340, because that's the mobile viewport size. So effectively, you're not breaking the restrictions. And check. No. I've seen it at some point. I've magically done it at some point, I believe. But it generally isn't possible. I think it only works in a certain circumstance. If they would, that's it there. If they are smaller than this size here, which it doesn't tell you what that size is. Let me tell you what size it is. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, it's not that anyway. So now if I drag this down, delete this, click on that. Okay. Okay, Jeffrey, so if you want to have two images right next to each other in a mobile view, they need to be to the point of a small enough size that it will fit within the viewpoint. This is 280. Will 300 do it? 300 seems okay. Whether it's the images 310. It might be the images that are giving it that sort of freedom. Because I think we had it at 340 before and it was, yeah. Seems to want to work at that size. So what I'm going to guess is if the combination of the two elements are greater than 320 pixels, then we have a problem. At the moment, we have got one at 140 and one at 172, which is 312. So the panel size isn't mattering, it's the image size, 180 and 182. So effectively, by my own rule that I've just made up, that is now 322. And it's still working. It wasn't working before, didn't want to work before, but it's now working. Interesting. It didn't work when it was that big before, but now it is. So you would have to play around with it if you want elements like this. Actually, this is my own bad. That was on remobilize. I may have just been messing about for 5 minutes with it not remobilizing itself automatically. Let's see if we can find an answer for people. So 150 and 142. 152. It would help if it would have been on mobilize, correct? Yeah. So yeah, I think my original statement was correct. Yeah, 320 pixels. 320 pixels. If you want two images to be next to each other, you need the panel containing them to be less than 320 pixels. That is the rule. No problem, Jeffrey. This line here, Joanna. This line here. This line you're asking about. Yeah. That line is, as far as I'm aware, that line is designed on the basis of above the fold. And above the fold basically means if in the olden days or whatever, when you used to have a newspaper and you fold the paper over, the front page of the newspaper is what's above the fold. So you would have the front of the newspaper, it's got the logo of the newspaper, it's got the big headline, and then that is effectively what attracts the user in. So anything you design above this line here is classed as above the fold. Now, in my opinion, that doesn't really stand as true as it used to, because it can be completely different depending on what device people view it on, what screen size and everything else. Yeah. So this line, in my opinion, is pretty much redundant, and I don't believe there is any setting that allows you to change it. But it's not hurting anything. It's just on the design. To add a video into the layout template, is it best to add it midway, taking half of the 540 and half of the 960? Would you be where are we? Sorry. Where has that question gone? Mr. Perez, Phil. I'm going to call you Phil. I'm sorry if you don't like being called Phil, but I don't want to ruin the rest of your name. Are you talking about adding a video into the center section instead of like this Convertri? Is this where you're talking about adding a video? So you would go into media, add a video. Personally, I like. So I'm going to need to just expand this. I'm just holding down Shift. That's going to drag everything else down. I'm going to remove this. Drag this up. This is just, this white background here is just to show you that there is a panel there in this design. And then I would just hold this, click the center. And if you want to do any spacing above or a headline, again, you would just space accordingly. The video element itself comes in at 640 pixels. I wouldn't touch that personally. If you're doing a one section video like this, then obviously 640. Just use how it comes out of the box. Just click media, click video, and it'll automatically come at this size. If you're doing something smaller, obviously just size to the element. If you want 20 pixels either side, you would just set the video player to 440. So if I wanted this video to be here, then I would just put it there like that. If you want to maintain correct aspect ratio, you're probably going to want a website like aspect ratio calculator. I mean, you can do this, but I find it easier to just get this website. So if it's 440 width, the height would be 248. So all that's doing is basically making sure that this is still a widescreen video player and you don't have any of them weird black bars above and below it. So if you were going to put this in that box right there as a side element, then that is the correct size for it. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question one way or the other, Phil. The background video, if you want a background video, multi-step, Jason, I've got you. It's a little bit involved, but I'm not missing your message. I'll reply to that after, because this is pretty easy to respond to. So if I want to change this to a background, first of all, I'm going to bring it to the front, get rid of it, and then I'm going to do media and then background video, and then scroll this up and then just drag it down, and then element properties, and then you've just got to put your MP4 link in there. Sadly, at the moment, they didn't consider using one of Convertri's videos as the background video, so you will need an external source, because you can't get the MP4 link from the Convertri videos that you upload if you've got a pro account. Like for example, as a pro account, you get this feature of select your video, and you can have all your videos there. So that's my test video that I had on there. So you don't need a host like Vimeo or anything like that. But for some reason, they didn't think about the background video. So the only way is to get an MP4 link. You can get them from a range of places like Amazon S3, I think Cloudflare give them. There's a few different places that you can get an MP4 link. Just getting more water, sorry. I've effectively been talking for 4 hours. I had a call that ran 2 hours just before this. So I apologise for that. My throat is pretty dry. Okay, Jason. How can I get a multiple step form on desktop to work on mobile? Let me leave this. Create a page from scratch, and mobile multi-step. So are you talking about like you would take their name and email, and then on the next one you would take their money, like a checkout? Is that what you're talking about, Jason? If anybody else has any questions, feel free to drop them in. Otherwise, we will be finishing shortly. Jason, so you're talking about a multiple step form. So you're talking about if they enter their name and email on this one, so they would enter their name, email, and then they would have a button, obviously, that would be submitted, and then after that step, then you want them to enter their credit card details or something like that. Jeffrey, I can't give any answer on that because I don't deal with that side of things. If you email support@convertri.com, they can give you an idea on that. Okay. So Jason, you're effectively saying is it like a sort of contact form or a questionnaire or a quiz or something like that? Are you a homeowner? Yes or no, then goes to the next question. Right, okay. So effectively what we would need, let's put some text on this, and here we go. Are you a homeowner? So the thing is, you're going to want to have probably not, you're not going to want that, are you? You're going to want the bullet points. Checkbox, no. Radio buttons, right? Radio buttons. Can you go into more detail on that, Virgil? While I just go through this for Jason. Okay, so that would be your first question. Are you a homeowner? Yes or no? And then you would want it to go through another section. So you're going to have, we're going to clone that. And then let's say how much is your mortgage or whatever. The questions are relevant. I'm just fulfilling so it makes more sense. 100k, 150k. So you're going to want so you would have this one as start hidden, including the contents. You would probably be better doing this with layers. What I will say, Jason, is this is very hacky, very yeah, Christina, this is effectively making something like Quiztree. This is a very hacky way to do it. Effectively, my answer should be this is not the right software to do it. Convertri has Quiztree, and then there's a lot of other quiz softwares out there that would be better placed to do this. I could effectively do this on a long enough timeline. Basically, what you're doing is you're having it so that let me put this as a property. So this would be element 2. Sorry, question 2. Question 2. And you're basically having it where if I click submit on this, and we have an actions and event, add a new action, event type, click, on click, show, and then question 2. Okay. So if I preview this, okay, so are you a homeowner? Yes, and then we would click submit, and then it would give question 2. Obviously, you've got to layer all this stuff on top of each other. You would be better with layers than trying to. Effectively, what I could do is I could bring this to the front. So you've got to lay this out in order of bringing it to the front. If you don't want to use layers, you're going to make this a lot very difficult. So bring to the front. Actually, no, undo that. Bring to the front. Bring to the front. Remembering that my technical answer of what should be is you shouldn't try to do this. Bring to the front. Okay. So now, because all of these elements are on top of these elements, I can put this on top of here. Okay. And then I would probably have to give this a name. So I'd have to give this a name as well. So this name would be question 1. Okay. And I'm going to have 2 actions on this one. So action and event. So when it's clicked, it shows question 2. And also what we also want to do when it's clicked, we want to hide question 1, or otherwise we won't see question 2. So hide question 1, right? Hide. Yep, done. So when this is clicked, it will show question 2 and it will hide question 1. And I can save that, preview that. Yes, and then submit. Okay. So you can see how that works. Yeah, if you import a page into Convertri that's got multiple questions like this, it's not going to import the questions in any sort of format. It might completely look terrible. Christina, the submissions would go to your autoresponder or whatever you had linked up if you were doing this. Quiz tree convert tutorial. I can ask if I can do it in a future webinar. But yeah. Jason, to rebuild it, you would have to follow the steps effectively of what I've just showed you, which is your very first question would have to be the highest element, then the next question would have to be lower than them elements, and then the next one would have to be lower than that. I think the easiest way to do it would be to build it backwards. So if you start with question 7, if you've got 7 questions, do question 7, do question 6, do question 5, do question 4, do question 3, do question 2, do question 1, and then line them all up on top of each other. So you would effectively, you would lay them all out like this, okay? And then you would just obviously clone, but you would need to be working backwards, because every time you clone it, it becomes the highest element. So these, the one that I have just cloned, is more forward than the element that was before it. So effectively, however many times you need to clone this, this is going to be question 1. Whichever is the lowest one as you do this is going to be question 1. Okay, this is going to be question 2. This is going to be question 3. And then you would just drag them all back on top of each other after you've done all the actions and events, and give them all a general properties name. That is what you would need to do. Raphael, if you want to remove the Convertri logo, you can do it on a page level by clicking Powered by Convertri badge in the page settings here. Click the Powered by Convertri badge and then click Don't Show. You can also do it on a account level where you go into your account and then there is a setting there. The hide is right here, so you would select this, the main container box, and then you go over to here and you click Start Hidden, including the contents. So you want it to start hidden, including everything inside of it. Okay, which will hide this text, it'll hide the options, and it'll hide the submit button. Okay, Jason? Just going back through the questions. Raphael, does the dynamic text replacement work? It does work. Do you want to elaborate on that? It does work. Yeah. Christina? Is there another step to set up that answers the go-to autoresponder? I mean, setting up your autoresponder on something like this is you're going to have to obviously go into forms, select your autoresponder, and then when you select your autoresponder, you're going to have to link it up to all of these forms. So when you go into the form elements, which isn't on here for radio buttons, I'm not sure if it's connected. I haven't used it, but if let me give you this as an example. So first name. So you've got form field settings. So if you've got a form set up, you would be able to link that to a specific field, and then you'll need to link that field within your autoresponder here. I think I've got get response set up, even though I cancelled it. No, I cancelled it, so there isn't no connection. I have another one set up, but I don't want to go into it on this webinar because of what's linked to it. But there is probably a training video on that on help.convertri.com. Yeah, Jason, this would be effectively a 2 or 3 question setup. You would just have to change the you would have to just mimic the actions and events for this, which are this one. You would have to just mimic that. I can give you the share code to this if you want, and then you can try and follow from that. Save. I'm not going to put this for everybody if it because technically it's not something that I'm supposed to be sharing, and it's not recommended, and I don't want support to be flagged by loads of questions about this because it's not technically supposed to be done. But you can do it. And if you effectively, it's a good lesson for everybody on the webinar of how to use action and events in different ways. So I'm happy to give this training, but I'm only giving the share code to Jason because it's going to help him to actually activate it. Everybody else just take the lessons from what I did there to use in different ways. If you really want it, ask and I'll send it you personally, but I'm not going to fire it to everybody. And just please don't don't everybody email support and ask how to use it, because it's just a personal thing from me. Okay. If you ask for it in chat, I'll send it you. But yeah. Okay, if you've asked for it, I've sent it you privately. I haven't sent it to the whole webinar. But there you go. Any other questions? We are going to leave it as another one, maybe two. But this is the official. We will be closing very shortly. So any other questions, get them in, and then we will start finishing up. Okay, looks like I've answered them. Nope, nope, there we go. One sneaked in. uh, Great, thank you. I'm glad everybody has enjoyed it and learned from it. Glad you enjoyed it, everyone. Thank you for your support and letting me know you enjoyed it as well. Raphael, no, don't try and go and build things on desktop and then try and go to mobile. Make your desktop the best version you can, following the best practices that we've discussed in this webinar. And then if you have to make changes to mobile, make changes then. But ideally, in a best case scenario, you should be in a position from this training to make it basically 100% for a mobile version, so you don't need to touch mobile. Cloudfresh Stream versus Amazon S3. If you wanted to give files like PDFs and stuff like that, then you would be using Amazon 3. Amazon 3 versus Cloudfresh Stream. I think Cloudflare Stream is a lot more user friendly. It is a really good price. Basically the same price as Amazon S3, if I'm correct, but there is like a minimum price. I think they charge you just like $5 a month. For anybody, any normal person, not massively tech savvy, I would say go with Cloudflare Stream, because Amazon S3 is just confusing for most people. So yeah, that was what I would say, Jerry. That code is just an import code, Jason. So just go into your funnel, click import page, and just enter that. Just enter that code. Welcome, Joanne. Welcome, Virgil. Everybody. I won't go through everyone's names, but I do appreciate all your thank yous, and yeah, everybody take care. Stay healthy. Thank you for turning up. Thank you for enjoying the content. And I think that is up. We have been on a little over 2 hours with that little hiccup at the start, meaning you lost a little bit of content, but it was only a few minutes. So we've definitely had 2 hours of good content. Great to speak with everybody. Glad you've all enjoyed it, and look forward to speaking to you again. Any other questions or anything, just drop them in the group. My name is Martin Colley, if you haven't seen me around or you're not aware of who I am within the group, and I will respond to you. Okay, everybody, I am signing off. Thanks again. Speak to you soon.